Congratulations on the film.
Cool, thanks.
So you're Canadian.
I am.
You're from the other end of the country than this takes place in. But were you aware of Newfoundland in that sense? Had you been there before you shot?
I hadn't been there. I was very aware of it.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of the tone of where we were shooting the film, which is very infectious. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very simple, and the pace is obviously a lot slower. But once you get into that, you don't want to leave it.
Well, that's kind of the point of the movie, too,
Yes,
I guess, right?
Absolutely.
And what did you take away from the people? I've never met anyone who's gone down there that said, "Oh, I'd never go back there."
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go back. What was it for you that was so magical?
They're very in the moment when you're talking to them, and they just feel they're incredibly genuine and grounded, and there's no ulterior motive.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm a bit jaded with the business, but it's like, it was just refreshing, and it's kind of what it means to be Canadian in a way,
Yeah, and you get a sense of that from the film.
Yeah.
Which is, this could have been, it's a very funny movie.
Yeah.
But it could have been, as I think it was Brendan Gleeson just said to me, a bunch of Newfoundland nitwits running around.
Yeah.
Right? It could have been that, but it's not that at all. It really is, I thought, the thing that deepened it was that it's a story about people fighting for survival, not just of, themselves and their things, but of their way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, is what made the thing resonate a little bit.
Yeah. I think once that purpose is slowly being taken away from them, that's a big part of them. You know what I mean? I think that was a big part of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And the tone, and to give it that heartbeat was what's going to surprise a lot of people and differentiate it from a lot of comedies.
Yeah, and from the French film, which is a different thing again that it's based on. Culturally very different. The people are very different. The characters.
And I think you don't want to go in there and just copy something else. You always, with anything, you want to make it your own. And it was important for us to do the same.
Did you watch the French film, or did you not want that?
No, I didn't want to plan it. I didn't want to. I hear he's incredible in it, and we had a lot of that crew, some of our camera crew, and my wardrobe was the same gal who did him, and so you could tell how much it means to them, and I just didn't want to go down that road. You let that be its own entity,
Yeah.
But you absolutely could tell like how much it meant to them.
So what do you do at night there? Because I only ask because on film anyway, it looks very remote where you are.
Right.
And so how do you keep yourself occupied when you're not shooting?
I was
down there for a while, right?
Yeah, like 7+ weeks. Mm-hmm. I was prepping for I did a war film right after this. So I was prepping for that as well, aesthetically, and kind of slowly getting into that mindset. And then we went fly fishing, man. Like my best friend, he's like an avid fisherman. So he would be on figuring out the moon and what's going on, what the best time the tide is and when we should go. And would get genuinely upset if we weren't like at 6:12 dropping lures into the water. So it was doing that. It was fun, and we were just beating our bodies up training. So we just sleep a lot as much as we can. Really, just rest.
Yeah. Are you a better fisherman in real life than you are in the film?
Oh my God, you'd hope so. I mean, he was bad. Yes, I am. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about working with Don McKellar.
Yeah.
Canadian legend, guy, who's made a lot of films, starred in a lot of films, made a lot of films. Yeah. This feels like something different from him again, to my eye anyway. Great. Tell me a little bit about working with him and how he works with you as a
man. It was like they approached me with the script and we read it, we loved it, and it was more of like, okay, let's talk to Don and see if my process is going to be, aid the film and his process and his vision. Yeah. More importantly, and we talked on the phone a bunch of times, and he was just, from day one, even on the phone, you could just tell that it was the best interest of the film was what's most important.
Right.
Was his most important interest. So it was, and that's everything. And I think that's what makes him a great director, is that it's like big picture thing and making sure we get it right.
You've been working so much. Films like this, is this what you're looking for in interrelationship, or films about relationships, films about people getting on with life. That's what really, essentially, this is what, and
Right.
it sounds like another couple of projects that you have coming up
Yeah.
are sort of the same thing. Is that sort of what appeals to you these days?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're always, from day one, you're always have an eye or an ear to the ground and trying to figure it out of when these scripts are coming to jump at them. And,
Right.
from Normal Heart to Lone Survivor to this, those are all, I'm very lucky to be a part of all of those in their own way, so you're always looking for that material.
Was Lone Survivor the war film you were prepping?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went right into Lone right after this.
Yeah, man, I cannot imagine two more different films.
Yeah.
Lone Survivor is powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
It's interesting because you say, sort of getting into the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? In terms of, this is a gentle...
For the doc or for Lone?
Well, for either of them,
Right.
for like while you're playing this, you said, I'm starting to get into the mindset of playing Soldier and Lone Star. Where just half your brain's one and half the other. Is that how it works?
It wasn't that. It's more of planting seeds, and they're more unconscious. I'm not like today I'm going to work on his, Mike Murphy's spirit and work on where I'm going to be. It's more just like slowly planting seeds in your head, and I'm not going to go so in depth with my process, but it's more of just, pushing yourself to the limit that day of training, of exerting something that's, challenging and going to push you as far as you can go and then some. And so we were running Skirwing Trail with 50-pound backpacks and pushing yourself to that limit of starting to train like a SEAL would, and how Murph would train. So it's like those little psychological things you're planning in your head. Yeah.
And Normal Heart, you just came from New York, and from the screenings of that, and the reviews are spectacular. Tell me a little bit about how it feels, because I heard that audiences have, gobbled this up, and are moved and are crying in the theaters. That, as an actor, must make you feel...
it's very, very fulfilling.
Yeah.
And Brendan and I were talking, he's done some heavy stuff as well, and just came out of one. And, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, because we're more known for dramatic acting, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's like, it's nice to hear people laugh. With Grand Seduction, our TIFF premiere was like as incredibly fulfilling as Normal is to me as an actor, and that's why you do it, is to evoke. But it's like, even with this, it was like, they're missing jokes at the premiere because they're laughing from the previous one. And as an actor, I'm like, oh, it's great to hear the laugh, but there's even more, you know what I mean? So it was a great experience, and with Normal, we had the premiere a couple nights ago, and damn, man, it was a heavy night, but with that, it was as fulfilling.
It's interesting because when we were talking about it just off camera, I said, I heard people were cheering, and you're like, oh, not at the screening.
Yeah.
Maybe later, but not at the screening, because it is that kind of film. It's a much different thing, right?
Yeah, to have Larry Kramer there, and the full circle moment that was for him, he's one of the greatest activists of any generation. Regardless of sexuality, and he's an incredible person, and just on a human level, just to be motivated to take action of what you believe in. It takes 10 seconds of talking to Kramer about what he was going through and whatnot. So to be a part of that and to contribute with Bruce Niles, the character I got to portray in the movie, was an honor.
Do you feel, so this isn't the first time you played a real-life character.
Right,
what kind of responsibility do you feel to those people, or is it a different thing? Because, you have a script, that's what you're going to play, or do you feel a responsibility to those people?
The responsibility is definitely heightened, no doubt, and it keeps you honest on a whole different level. Like, the check, I guess if you want to break it down to that, it's like, with Lone, as an example, it's like, this is for the families. This is for the SEAL community, and this is for his brothers. And if you get those guys to be like, give you a tip of the hat and thank you, then man, that nothing's more fulfilling. I don't care what any critic says. If I got Dan Murphy, Mike's father, telling me, thanking me for this, and that for 2 hours he saw his son, damn, man, it doesn't get better.
I can't imagine the family watching that film.
Yeah, that was no joke. I went into Long Island, where Murph's from, and I watched it with his best friends that he grew up with. We had, I mean, it was an incredible moment. His parents, his brother, it was incredible. I mean, that's a moment where you're like, man, I'm so glad I put out for this film.
Yeah.
That I just did everything I possibly can to tell his story and tell these guys Red Wing's story and the community story.
Grand Seduction. What do you want people to walk out of the theater thinking?
I want them smiling, man. It's that simple. It's not like there's no ulterior thing. It's just like, I want you to feel good walking out of that and hopefully look back and laugh out loud at some of these scenes. And we go back to the heartbeat. Hopefully we'll evoke some of that, and it's that simple, you know.
Will you be one of those Canadian actors, and I hope I see it here, that goes back and forth and still makes films
I
here?
hope.
And
Yeah, I'm very spoiled in where I'm at in the U.S. And I almost don't even want to compare it to that.
Right.
But it's like, I absolutely loved being in Canada, working on home soil and with a bunch of Canadians on our crew, and I love that. So if the opportunity presents itself and it's right, then I'm in.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope it does against you.
Yeah, cool. Me too.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
How was so you chatted with Brendan?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's the best.
Unbelievable, man.
I know.
Unbelievable. And smart and funny, and I love the vocabulary. Like, he's like, I didn't want it to be a bunch of grim heads.
Yeah,
you know, stuff like that. Awesome.
Yeah. You can just tell, like, if it's a comedy to, you know, some heavy stuff that he's done, it's like he just cares.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. Well, he went to Newfoundland to the
I
opening,
know.
and he said, "That's the audience I care about."
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah.
Says everything about him.
Yeah. No, he's a good guy. Thanks very much. I said there's a bar called the Irish Embassy across the street. I said,
Really?
you should take him over there for lunch and cause a
Damn.
riot. Yeah.
He should absolutely go.
Totally.
At least go have a beer and tip one back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you later. Have a
See
good
you.
one.
Bye, Richard. Have a
Thank you
great
very
day.
much. You too.